Hey everyone, how's it going? Welcome back to the channel. Dylan here. We have a major update today from former FBI Deputy Director Dan Bongino. He just came out and called out Barack Obama. He called out Barack Obama and he called out the Dems big time. And he's exposing the truth and now officially teaming up with President Trump to save America. So we're going to dive into all of this. But before we do, we're going to read scripture and pray because God comes first. Amen? Comment amen if you truly do believe that God comes first. For I know the plans I have for you, declares the Lord. Plans to prosper you and not to harm you. Plans to give you hope and a future. Amen. God has a plan for you. That Bible reading is from Jeremiah 29:11. And my brothers and sisters, congratulations to everyone who has begun investing. Thanks to President Trump, we just hit another new all-time high. It is the best time to get started right now, and we have a totally free offer with the link below. Or if you're watching this on your TV, you can take out your phone and scan this QR code and a link will pop up. It's 100% free to get started, and if you don't know where to start, just download the app and watch the free investing tutorial below. I break it all down for you. All right, my friends, so watch this. Dan Bongino just came out and exposed former President Barack Hussein Obama for his disgraceful response to the latest assassination attempt on President Trump. If you didn't watch my last video, I broke down why I believe that former First Lady Michelle Obama and Barack Obama have played a big role in this anti-Trump rhetoric. And I believe that they should really apologize to Trump and not, oh, when Trump almost gets shot, Barack says, oh, we don't know the motive.
Here's Barack Obama, former president, who I was on his detail. Listen, I was proud to protect the president. I don't care what party for my politics I care, but, you know, we used to say, you select them, we protect them. I didn't do my job any different. Obama's confused about the motive here. We don't have the details about the motive behind last night's shoot. You don't have the details about the motive. Why would you even put that in there? Number one, we did have the details about the motive. You're the former president, you know, cut this shit. Stop pretending like people didn't tell you what was going on. And second, even if you didn't know the details about the motive, you putting that in there, you know exactly what you're doing. Oh, we don't know what happened, bro. Gee, I don't know. It's only like fourth or fifth time we know about. There's probably tons of other cases that were stopped. That this President Trump, they've tried to kill him. If you don't know, just shut up. He has Secret Service now, Barack Obama. Folks, we know exactly what happened. The Media Research Center put together this little quick montage here. Folks, I strongly encourage you to watch this. You want to know what happens? Let me explain to you. And I mentioned it in my Fox hit there. This is really important you understand this. There's another assumption baked into the left. I'm not talking about the radical left. I'm talking about what they would consider mainstream left-wing voices. You know, the Chuck Todds of the world. I'm not telling you their man. I'm just telling you what they consider. There's an assumption built in that when you say this stuff, democracy's on the ballot, this is the end of times, talking in, you know, like I said, Manichaean, end of world, apocalyptic terms. There's an assumption built in there that you're talking to sane people. Thankfully, most people in this country of 330 million people, Democrats, Republicans, independents, libertarians, far left liberals, most people are, their politics may be screwed up, but they are sane. And thank the Lord, and I'm not using your name in vain, God Almighty. Thank the Lord, most people.
I love how Dan Bongino clarified that. You know, Dan loves God, and that's one thing I respect about him, is not using his name in vain.
People don't act on this stuff. The assumption they bake in, though, is that no people will act on this stuff. That is incorrect. I was in a PI squad for years in the New York office as a young Secret Service agent, protective intelligence. There are people who think you're talking to them through the CIA and put actual tinfoil caps on. I'm not joking. They think it stops the CIA rays from beaming into their heads. Do you get what I'm saying? When you talk like this, the left is saying to themselves, you know what? People get it. We're just being a little hyperbolic and exaggerating to gin up the vote. That's not what's happening.
Whoa, that's crazy, guys. And look, Dan Bongino just came out and addressed the nation, revealing details about that White House Correspondents' Dinner shooting, revealing why J.D. Vance was removed before Trump, and much more. Let's tune in.
And the spotlight is still on the Secret Service, and a number of questions remain, including this one. How did Cole Allen get that close to the President of the United States? This wasn't the first attempt on the President's life. It was the third, as we know, and we've heard about communication failures, coordination gaps, missed warning signs, but it's still raising concerns about what actually went wrong. Secret Service is supposed to be the best of the best. This is the third breach in 2 years. President Trump was quick, however, to defend the Secret Service last week.
I know a lot of those people in the Secret Service, and they were good and they were forceful. There's always room for improvement, right? And he got into the building. When you have 1,000 rooms sitting on top of a ballroom, and you have the elevators coming down right near the entrance, it's a pretty tough situation.
Here to react, Dan Bongino, Fox News contributor, former deputy FBI director. Dan, look, we always say this, preface it, we love those who serve to protect this president. It's not an easy job, it's a very tough job. But the way you saw that magnetometer come down and other Metropolitan Police or TSA agents leaning against the wall there, what struck you?
Yeah, I think you're going to see a lot of changes from Director Curran on that front. I think the worst part about the magnetometer, I believe there are 2 units there. The one coming down is not the taking down of the magnetometer. You can shut the checkpoint down if you need to. It's that 2 of the agents and officers at that scene were distracted by taking the magnetometer down. I think that's the larger problem. When you look at the reaction of the Secret Service in total, the inner perimeter, you have an inner, middle, and outer perimeter in these security sites. It's just about at every site, right? If you go look and you see the B-roll on it, you'll see the CAT team responds around the counter-assault team, the SWAT team, and the black BDUs responds around President Trump, and the close shift to him, the Presidential Protection Division guys, the PPD guys, the shift, evac them out pretty quick. So the inner perimeter, I don't really have any concerns with. I think the Secret Service is going to do a really, really thorough after-action report in the middle perimeter. I think you're going to see a lot of changes. One of the things I'd like to see is I would like to see a dramatic expansion of the counter-assault team, our SWAT guys. The time to play nice and, look nice in the suits is over. Let's get a pipeline from the special forces. Laura, you have a 35-year-old Green Berets who've got 20 good years of service in them. They might not want to stay in the military the whole time. The government could use you. Pipeline them right to the counter-assault team, double, triple the size of it, get them at the middle perimeter. Because one last point, what worries me is not the first guy going through who charges the checkpoint like that. Right. It's the second, third, and possibly 10th guy after that. You get a counter-assault team there, you got a real force to hit back.
Just the kind of casual nature of that whole breakdown, it just seemed very odd to me. A question that just regular folks still have: why did Vance get moved off the stage, the dais, before the president did? Is there a reason for that?
No, I don't think there was any particular reason. I think Vance is just younger, and he's just, the president's a big guy, Laura. You've been around him. He's well over 6 feet. He's got, when he comes in to shake your hand, he moves you. You have to brace for impact like an offensive lineman. He's a big guy. I just think the Vance is just younger, was closer to that side, but they don't typically take if there's multiple protectees at the same site, they won't typically take them out the same way for obvious reasons. If there were a secondary attack at that point, then you could hit both protectees. So there's nothing particularly unusual about how they did it. I just think, the vice president was closer to the side of the stage, and they just got him out there quicker. I didn't really see any issue with that.
Yeah, they moved him off first. Trump, it was a matter of seconds, but it was just, you're used to seeing the president moved off really quickly. But then one of the former agents said, well, they thought he was most secure where he was because of where the agents, they didn't know perhaps what was going on the other part of the perimeter. He was safe exactly where he was. Dan?
I don't think Trump looked safe where he was. He was sitting there an open target, to me, I don't know. I feel like that's kind of baloney. What do you guys think?
And the president is so loyal to his Secret Service agents, obviously, because they put their life on the line for him every day. Do you think, knowing him as you do, that he, behind the scenes, is asking for a real deep dive here to ensure that when he's out in the midterms campaigning, that this is as buttoned down as possible?
Yeah, I mean, I worked for him, and this is the no screwing around president. I mean, he just doesn't accept second best. And Laura, I want you in the audience to keep in mind, there's no precedent for the threat level around this president. If you imagine the threat as a footprint, we're talking like a Bigfoot-sized foot here. There's never been anything like this in Secret Service history. If there's 1 to 100 threat level, like this guy's 99, and I only say 99, because something else, God forbid, could happen. I mean, there's nothing like this. So he understands that. The Secret Service understands it. And I think I hate the term, reimagining and all this other flowery, euphemistic crap. But I think it's really time to kind of reimagine the threat footprint around the office of the presidency, because this guy broke the mold and he doesn't accept second best. I'm sure he's asking for answers.
Now, President Trump just came out to address the nation. Let's listen in.
The markets are going to boom. The stock is going to boom. The country is going to boom. And the rest of the world wants to see, is there any way they can make a deal? They've taken advantage of us for many, many years. For many years, we've been at the wrong side of the ball. And I'll tell you what, I think it's going to be unbelievable. The thing that people have to talk about, we're up almost to $7 trillion of investment coming into our country. And you'll see how it's going to turn out. Our country's going to boom.
President Trump says our country and the market is going to boom. Donald Trump literally told us that this is a great time to buy and that this is a great time to get rich, richer than ever before. And I don't know about you, but I did listen to President Trump, and my investment returns are up over $67,000. One of you guys messaged me that you were up over $13,000. Now, if you want to learn how to begin investing, we have a totally free offer with no commitment at all. You can click the link below, download the app, and follow the free tutorial that I created for you guys. I tell you all the stocks that I have, how to get them, and I break it down step by step and easy. If you're watching this on your TV, you can take out your cell phone, open up your camera app, and point it at this QR code and just download the app and the link. And again, it's totally free to get started. It's just my gift to you for being a watcher of my show.
You have to do stuff. You have to go vote and bring 10 people with you. YouGov tweet on Congress. I thought we were told we were getting smoked. Everything sucks. Nothing's happening. Trump's historically unpopular. It's over. Really? YouGov, no friend to the Republican Party here, by the way. If the midterms for U.S. Congress are being held today, who would you vote for in the district you live? Democrat candidate 44, Republican candidate 41. However, look at the trend line. Last week, it was Democrats 46, Republican 41. It's not great news that we're down a couple points here, 3 points. However, it's starting to converge as some of the economic activity starts to pick up, as the war in Iran starts to, slowly tail off and resolve.
Yeah, we're seeing a huge shift right now, especially with the stock market. Like during the war, the stock market was getting a little finicky, but now that the war's ended, or the Operation Epic Fury is over, we're seeing a massive soar in the market.
Announced yesterday, the end of offensive actions over there in Iran. Now you're starting to see the fruits of a lot of this. Factory orders picking up, the economy picking up. Inflation still relatively tame compared to the Biden years. Job numbers look good. GDP numbers look pretty good. Now you're starting to see this on gas prices and gas futures, oil and gas futures down today on potentially some resolution with the Strait. Don't fall into the panic, man.
Yeah.
Please, I'm begging you. Not to mention, put up a playbook first. I know I'm a little out of order, but
what I do when I see people panicking and the stock market falling, when everyone's panicking, oh, the stock market's gonna crash, that's when I'm like, all right, it's time to buy. That's my strategy.
Trump endorsement and the MAGA movement, ladies and gentlemen, I'll get into this with Vince again later, is gold. Nobody votes for endorsements, period, except for Donald Trump. They don't. Who was an endorsement you voted on in the past? No, I'm dead serious. Like, you only voted on the endorsement. Maybe 10% of the audience will say, yes, I vote for who other people tell me to vote for. People don't vote for endorsements. They're nice to have. They may give you a temporary bump. They just don't vote for endorsements, except Donald Trump.
Yeah.
Indiana Republicans thought it would be a good idea not to redistrict the state to make a more fair map and get more Republican seats. Donald Trump warned them, hey, man, no surprises here. Redistrict the state or we're going to primary you. It's our choice. We're going to pick different people. Playbook. Biggest takeaway from last night's primaries in Indiana? Pre-midterm Southern state redraws became a whole lot more likely after the Supreme Court ruling. They say gutted the voting. Get the bullshit there. The Indiana Republicans last night, who voted against redistricting their state, most of them lost. Hat tip James Blair, by the way, for an amazing political operation up there from the Trump team.
Whoa, so that's looking really good for Republicans heading into the midterms and really, really bad for Democrats. I mean, and here's Dan Bongino just absolutely pissed about the ridiculous apology from that judge. Let's tune in.
Before I get to this ridiculous thing that happened with the judge yesterday, I want to talk about it. The reason I'm tying these stories together, because one of the things I always try to avoid with this show is just, repeating things you can see on basically the news every night. Because you can be like, I heard about that last night. Yeah, but there's a reason. If you haven't heard about this story of the judge, I'll get to it in a second. The suspect in the White House Correspondents Association dinner attempted assassination attempt is in court. And basically the judge apologizes for the conditions. I'll get to that in a second.
What?
You want more judges like this?
No.
Don't vote in the midterms. Don't vote in the midterms. And ladies and gentlemen, you don't have a midterm problem. You have a generational problem. Because these judgeships are lifetime appointments. You lose a congressional race. Say there's a Republican, I don't care who it is, incumbent Joey Bag of Donuts in East Tuna Fish, and he loses to a Democrat. That sucks. But you're stuck with the Democrat for 2 years and you run someone again. There are liberals listening who don't understand civics. If you're a member of the House of Representatives, the United States Congress, you have a 2-year assignment. That's it. Senate, 6 years. For some liberals, this is news. You get a judge in there who's a liberal and an activist, you're stuck for life. There's no getting away. And the problem is, while the Constitution, this elegant, glorious document we have, was designed to have 3 branches of government that are co-equal and jealously guard each other's power, that's not what's happening right now. Can we just throw that in the garbage? Bundle that up, throw it in the garbage. The most powerful branch of government right now is the judicial branch. Because they just usurp others' power. I'm not talking about all judges. I don't stereotype people. But this problem with the judge in this...
You can stereotype all judges, bro. It's like a lot of them suck. And they're the arbiters of truth. It's a joke.
This case is not limited to this case. We've had judges telling the president that they're the commander-in-chief. They're going to make military decisions. We've had judges writing law from the bench. You don't see... I'll prove it to you. The judiciary is the most powerful because they've usurped power from the other two. You don't see that with the other 2 branches, largely. You don't see members of the House of Representatives putting on black robes and trying to officiate over civil matters, correct? You don't see the president doing the same thing. You want to fix America? For a long time, not 2 years, not 4 years, not a 6-year Senate term, excuse me. You want to fix America and make it lasting? Here's what we got to do. Ladies and gentlemen, number one, we have to pass the SAVE Act. I know you've heard it before, but when you combine the SAVE Act with gerrymandering reform, when you combine that with border control, when you combine that with reviewing how we do the census, and you dump the filibuster, you have a multi-point plan to change the country forever. Let me walk you through this. Here's how the steps work. First, we have to nuke this filibuster. I've said it yesterday. I don't want to nuke the filibuster. However, we don't have a choice. The Democrats are going to do it when they hopefully don't get in charge. But if they do and take over the Senate, they are going to rewrite the rules to nuke the filibuster. Ladies and gentlemen, how do I know that? Dan, you're being dramatic. I'm not being dramatic. The Democrats have already told us in the Senate they're going to nuke the filibuster. And the 2 Democrats that voted against it Joe Manchin and Kirsten Sinema claim to be an independent, and they're gone. They're gone. You get a couple of, let me give you an example. I'm going to cover this later in the show. You've got a candidate in Michigan, this Al Sayed guy. This guy is a left-wing lunatic.
Who? Who the heck is Al Sayed?
This guy gets in the Senate. You think he's not going to vote to nuke the filibuster? Are you crazy, man? Are you out of your mind? Of course they're going to do it. Their voters are going to pressure them to do it. We've got to get rid of the filibuster and move to a majority in the Senate so we can do stuff and create an ownership culture in the United States Senate where when you're in charge, your party owns it. You can't just duck and go, oh, you know, we couldn't overcome the filibuster. Democrats blocked us. No, there's no filibuster. You got the majority. You get it done. Step one, get rid of it. Step two, pass the SAVE Act. Proof of citizenship and ID to vote. Period. Identification. It's not hard.
Has that still not been passed? The SAVE Act? Or the Save America Act, guys?
It is not difficult. This is not controversial. The overwhelming majority of voters support voter ID. This is not Jim Crow 7.2, whatever bullshit you're throwing out there to gin up race hostilities. That is not what's happening. This is a mass consensus position every sane, rational, logical voter supports. Dump the filibuster, push the SAVE Act through, make citizens produce ID to vote, the bench. I just need people to rule on the constitutional grounds. Don't be an activist. Check out this Fox News tweet. This is outrageous. The judge in the White House Correspondents Association dinner was talking to Cole Allen, the suspect in the case, and he was these are quotes for liberals, meaning the judge said it as a magistrate, by the way, Zia Farouqui, that he was fascinated and disturbed by the suspect's treatment in jail. He notes that it's extremely disturbing that he was put in restraints with no criminal history. It's troubling. Then he references the January 6th offenders. Was anybody treated more unfairly than them?
Wait, he brought that into the case? Who is this guy? Judge Zia Farouqui, magistrate judge who called Trump's D.C. crackdown a crisis. This is the judge? What we know about the federal magistrate who apologized to Cole Allen. This is the judge, Judge Zia Farouqui. Who apologized to alleged would-be Trump assassin Cole Allen. It's troubling. I never heard one J6 defendant who was put in 5-point restraints or in a safe cell. If the only way to keep him safe is the punitive thing, that's a problem. Who is this guy? Judge Zia M. Farouqui. Okay, he's a first-generation Pakistani American. So he was born in America. His parents having immigrated from India to Pakistan before eventually settling in the United States. He was born and raised. He pursued higher education at Georgetown University. Which again, these are liberal colleges. It is interesting though when you raise somebody who's an immigrant, they go to a liberal college, then they become a judge, and then they seems like the judge is slightly biased. I don't know. This is the first time kind of learning about it, so I could be totally wrong on him, but I just find it kind of interesting. Dan Bongino reveals that he'll never be the same after serving in the FBI.
But listen, I will never be the same, and I'm being as serious as a stroke right now. Look, I'm scared, man. Like, whoa. I know what I did, and I'm proud of my work, and I'm proud of what me and Cash accomplished in the past year, beyond proud. I know what we did. I know what's coming. I know what I started. I know what I laid out, and I know it's all, you saw a lot of these cases coming out over the past few days even. But don't think for a second that I don't think every day, and this is what's really sad, and this is why I know, and I never thought this after reading that enough Friday night, that they're going to come for me. And listen, man, it's not a sob story. I knew what I was getting into. But it happened to the president, and he went through just the worst destruction of his civil liberties I've ever seen. But I say to my wife all the time, I know, Sean, I can look you in the face as a friend, tell you and your millions of viewers and listeners, I promise you everything I did with a dotted I and a crossed T. I brought in my own attorney from the outside.
Whoa, so he thinks that he's being targeted. Do you think he is, guys? Now, President Trump just came out to address the nation. Let's listen in.
We have the highest stock market in the history of our country by far, every single month. That's another thing you should camp. You know, they like to demean that. The Democrats, well, that doesn't mean anything. That's just, no. That means jobs and it means 401ks.
I've been investing heavily into the stock market. Even one of you guys messaged me saying that your investments are up over 13 grand. And right now, we have a free offer. Or you can take out your phone right now and scan this code, open up your camera app. Just download the app, it's totally free. You can get started today. And watch my free investing tutorial too. I break down everything that I'm buying. Dan Bongino just going scorched earth, revealing the truth about Hakeem Jeffries, about the Democrats. Warning, it's about Hakeem. He is not kidding about this, my friends. So let's tune in.
Joining me now is former FBI Deputy Director and former Secret Service agent Dan Bongino. Dan, it's good to see you. You and I speak for a living, Dan. We have for a long time, and I know that both of us throughout our careers have defended the concept of free speech. And yet, when we see the current climate, it's hard not to think that this is a runaway train. There's no brakes on this political rhetoric coming from the left towards President Trump.
Yeah, and there's not two sides to this. I can't emphasize this enough. There is no, there's a shame ecosystem on the right that you and I exist in, right? We're political commentators. I'm on the right side of the political aisle. I'm sure that's not a mystery to anyone. But there's a shame culture here where we don't want to be associated with people who pull us off our due north on our compass, right? We always want that lodestar of truth because we know, number one, we've grown up people skeptical of our ideas because we don't have academia, the entertainment community, and the mainstream media behind us as conservatives. So we have to be right all the time. And when it gets astray and we get away from that lodestar, you'll see a policing goes on. I can prove it. The left's been writing about it for the last 4 or 5 months. You know, MAGA, Civil War, and all this. And of course, it's hyperbolic and dramatic. But there is this policing effort that happens on the right. There is no corresponding effort on the left. Well, you've seen it. They'll give the perfunctory statements like, all political violence is... Yeah, we get that. We get that, dude. We get it. All political violence is bad. Now they're not even at that point. They've now graduated from that to the Hakeem Jeffries kind of Jimmy Kimmel, like double-barrel middle finger. Like, he's not kidding, Hakeem Jeffries. Like, I don't really give a damn what you guys say. I'm not apologizing. They now graduated to, you say what you want, do what you want. We don't care what happens to the president, and basically pound sand on the apology front, too.
You're in a unique position, Dan, here because of both of your last two jobs capable of seeing this unique situation, which is, for example, Cole Allen, the would-be assassin of President Trump at the White House Correspondents' Dinner, his language in his manifesto was virtually indistinguishable from the language of the mainstream left.
Whoa, so that's really interesting because, like, when you have Hakeem Jeffries, Jasmine Crockett, AOC, Jimmy Kimmel, Hillary Clinton, Rachel Maddow, when you start taking apart these people, let's say you take all their monologues about what they say about Trump, throw it into ChatGPT, and it spits out, you know, this language that's similar to what the attempted assassin, the guy who attempted to kill Trump, they think alike. That's crazy.
The stuff you might hear on other cable channels, the stuff you might even hear on Capitol Hill. And I, for one, think that illustrates the mainstream radical nature of the rhetoric on the left. Number two, gotta make it really hard for law enforcement to isolate out the fringe lunatics.
Well, if you look at the manifesto from the suspect in this weekend assassination case, it's insane, by the way, that when you and I are chatting, we have to like talk about, well, what specific assassination case? Usually it's just none. And this, but right, we're like, well, which one? Was it 1 or 4? The past weekend, when you read the manifesto, and then you read the some of the information that had come out from the subject who tried to breach the exterior at Mar-a-Lago just a couple of months ago, you'll notice that there's a similar pattern. It's all left-wing conspiratorial nonsense. This bile spewed by the way, mainstream figures in their movement against Donald Trump. This is easily, it's not even a close second, the most threatened man on planet Earth.
Yeah.
And whether you voted for him or not, he's your president, man. That's just the way it rolls.
True.
I didn't like Barack Obama.
True.
All right, politically speaking, I was on his protection detail. I did my job.
Yes.
You know why we're not the third world? We used to say, you select them, we protect them. That's it. The left just cannot get past the fact that this guy is their president. They will not and cannot get over that fact, and that's why there's no effort to police that movement. But you're correct. The language is just regurgitated nonsense they hear from the mainstream media. And one last point on this. Having done so many of these PI cases, protective intelligence cases, when I was on the Secret Service side, when you interview these people, I think there's an assumption, normal people see through this stuff. They don't take this stuff seriously. You're assuming you're talking to normal people. There's an extraordinarily large group of not normal people on the left who hear this stuff and are just looking for ammunition to go and attack Donald Trump. No pun intended, but sad in this case. And the left-wing media just keeps delivering it in boxes.
Oh. Ample supply, and I'm afraid that supply is not going to dry up, no matter how many times somebody tries to take his life.
I mean, Dan Bongino is totally right, and he's pissed at Hakeem Jeffries. Dan Bongino's not done. He goes on another rant about Hakeem Jeffries, because take a look at Hakeem. He says, you can continue to criticize me for it. I don't give a damn about your criticism. Hakeem Jeffries, he stands by his calling for, quote-unquote, maximum warfare against Republicans.
As it relates to anything that has been said, certainly as it relates to the comment related to maximum warfare everywhere, all the time, in connection with the redistricting battle that Republicans...
Maximum warfare all the time, everywhere. Like, dude, we're in a crazy time in our world to be saying that. With what's going on with Iran, Iran tried to kill Trump. Multiple people in America have tried to kill Trump. Charlie Kirk got shot, and you're coming out here and saying that as the leader of the Democrats? Give me a break.
Launched. I stand by it. You can continue to criticize me for it. I don't give a damn about your criticism.
People listen to this guy and they go, yeah, you know what? Trump almost died again. You know what? Screw it. We're not stopping. It's like, dude, take a look in the mirror. Calm down. Calm down, please. Let's get back to Dan because he's going off on Hakeem.
He's going to go out there and shake hands. He's not scared of any of this stuff. And that accessibility comes with a trade-off. Okay. Hey, I got to address one thing, though.
Right here.
Yeah, go ahead. Sorry.
Well, I want to ask
you addressed earlier Hakeem Jeffries talking about this civility thing. Listen, Hakeem, we're not asking for civility, guy. We're just asking that your Democrats just stop trying to shoot President Trump, okay? We're not, forget civility. We don't give a damn if you're nice and if you write respectfully at the end of your emails. Just please stop trying to shoot the president. Like, can we just agree on that, Mr. Jeffries? I'm sorry, I just had to address. I was a little annoyed when I heard that. Trump is being hunted by professionals who know exactly what they're doing. And because I hate teases, is the Secret Service compromised? Now, I know you say, well, Dan, you brought that up last week. Is there a mole, whether intentional or unintentional, in the Secret Service? I'll talk about that. But someone, let's just say who can be trusted, I spoke to last week at the end of the week, has informed me that their communication system for the Secret Service may be almost entirely compromised.
Wow.
In other words, people trying to hunt and kill Donald Trump may know more about what Donald Trump is doing than Donald Trump is doing.
Whoa.
Folks, we got a serious problem. And the problem is the people in charge of the Secret Service right now are not serious people. The people at the top are too busy trying to cover up their own role in the substandard security plan for President Trump. Nothing is going to change. We are in real trouble. I'm not trying to scare anyone. I'm not trying to panic anyone. I'm trying to tell you this isn't over. You thought it was over after the first one? We had the second one. You thought it was over after the second one? Folks, there's more. He is being hunted right now.
That is insane. This is Dan's message. There is no both sides. Dan is extremely concerned for this president. They only have to get lucky once. Let's tune in, guys. This is a major, major warning.
Please stop trying to murder the president. That is the clearest sign I've ever seen from the left. Do you think we're turning a point? And how much did the rhetoric have to do with this?
Yeah, we're turning a point, all right, for the worse, not for the better. Listen, having been an agent for over 12 years in the Secret Service, 12 years, and having spent a good amount of time in a protective intelligence squad where you actually go out and interview these people who threaten the president and our protectees, I think there's an assumption on the left where there's no shame in threatening the president's life on the left. So this isn't a both sides thing. So we can just cut that garbage out right now and just stop the nonsense. On the right, okay, on any respected kind of mainstream figure on the right, if you were to go out and even imply someone should be physically hurt on the left for their ideas, you're almost instantly shamed out of the movement. There is no such corresponding effect on the left. You just mentioned the name. I don't even want to mention this guy's name because he's such a zero. But he's out there implying that, you know, physical violence is okay and is a means of fighting back against the man or systemic discrimination, whatever crap they throw out there. And not only, Rachel, is there no shame, you're welcomed in open arms on mainstream left-wing podcasts where they're like, hey, come on in and spew this bile out there. There is no such corresponding movement on the right. There is no both sides, folks. Stop telling yourself that. It's not true. You would never be allowed on this network. You work here. I've worked here a long time. You would never be allowed in this network even joking around about that stuff. You'd be gone. They pull you off mid-segment. They don't allow that stuff. It's not a both sides thing. It is garbage. And let me tell you another thing, too, that worries me. This is why I am extremely concerned for this president, have been for a long time. You know, when the IRA tried to get Maggie Thatcher, and nearly did, at a hotel with a bomb, and she barely made it out of that, they said, you know, we only have to be lucky once. You know, you have to be lucky every day. This has to be the luckiest man on earth. I mean, you can have the greatest Secret Service in the world, guys, but the hard reality is they're always reacting, and reacting is always slower than acting because the person acting knows what they're going to do. Right. I'm going to storm this checkpoint. The Secret Service has to react. There's always a fog of war problem. I mean, you can have Green Berets and SEAL Team 6 out there, the greatest spec ops people in the world. They'll compress that timeline to act, but you're always reacting to someone else. And I'm worried for him. And I've never seen anything like this in my time in law enforcement.
CNN is admitting that Americans are winning in the stock market thanks to President Trump. Take a listen.
It's a success story if you're in the White House right now, the stock market is, and you can see it right here. Okay, S&P 500 shifts at this point in a presidency. You know, coming into today at the close of yesterday, look at this, up 19%. That is higher than the average president since 2001, when it was up 15%, and way, way higher than the average presidency since 1961, up 6%. So this stock market has been up like a rocket, and no wonder the president of the United States wants to talk about it.
I mean, Donald Trump literally told us that this is a great time to buy, and that this is a great time to get rich, richer than ever before. And I don't know about you, but I did listen to President Trump, and my investment returns are up over $67,000. One of you guys messaged me that you were up over $13,000. Now, if you want to learn how to begin investing, we have a totally free offer with no commitment at all. You can click the link below, download the app, and follow the free tutorial that I created for you guys. I tell you all the stocks that I have, how to get them, and I break it down step by step and easy. If you're watching this on your TV, you can take out your cell phone, open up your camera app, and point it at this QR code and just download the app in the link. And again, it's totally free to get started. It's just my gift to you for being a watcher of my show.